Good afternoon. This is Dr. Lauren Dew, and you are tuned in to say a word about this. I'm so glad that you could join me today. We are doing a simulcast, YouTube and Blog Talk Radio. So, for those of you that may be listening to Blog Talk Radio, understand that we're talking also to people out there in the YouTube Never Land. YouTubers, if you want to hear all of this program today, go to blogtalkradio.com/dr-due. blogtalkradio.com/dr-due. We're going to want to, at this moment, acknowledge this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and for this first few moments, just talk a couple things, issues that we need to talk about. And what we'll do, normally we just talk that and then get to our program. But we're going to make our announcements, talk about domestic violence, a couple things, and then just get into our text because we're almost finished. And I want to get this finished so we can then go to our next thing. We got probably a couple more weeks on sex in the Bible. So if you've not listened to it, go back and start listening because it's a lot of information that I'm sure you've not heard in your church. And it's in the Bible. It's not something that I'm putting together or creating. This is what you can read, whether you have a King James version, a new NIV version, the Today NIV that I'm going to use today, or you have the New Living Testament. Don't care. It's the Bible, and it's there, even if you have a Mormon Bible. Now, the thing that I want to talk about, I don't know if you saw it, but a bishop was indicted for his silence in a sexual abuse case in Kansas City. A bishop in the Roman Catholic Church has been indicted for failure to report suspected child abuse. The first time in the 25-year history of the church's sex abuse scandals that the leader of a U.S. diocese has been held criminally liable for the behavior of a priest he directly supervised. The indictment of the bishop, Robert Finn, and the Diocese of Kansas City, St. Joseph, by a county grand jury was announced last Friday. That was October the 15th. Each was charged with one misdemeanor count involving a priest accused of taking pornographic photographs of girls as recently as this year. They pleaded not guilty. The case caused an uproar among the Catholics in Kansas City this year when Finn acknowledged that he knew of the photographs in December, that's last year, 2010, but did not turn them over to the police until May. I guess he was using them. Oh, that's my own note. You can edit that out. That was not in what I'm reading. During that time, the priest Sean Radigan allegedly continued to attend church events with children and took lewd photographs of another young girl. A decade ago, American bishops pledged to report suspected abusers to law enforcement authorities. A policy also recommended last year by the Vatican. Finn had made such a promise 3 years ago as part of a $10 million legal settlement with abuse victims in Kansas City. Though the charge is only a misdemeanor, victims' advocates hail the indictment as a breakthrough. I absolutely agree. They said until now, U.S. bishops have avoided prosecution, despite documents showing that in some cases they were aware of abuse. This is huge. for us, said Michael Hunter, director of the Kansas City chapter of the Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests. And I am a member. It's called SNAP. Okay, and a victim of sexual abuse by a priest. I'm not a victim. Mine was by my father, a Pentecostal preacher. It's something that I personally have been waiting for years to see. This is what Hunter says. And with some accountability. Goes on. This bishop said he would fight the charges. He said in a statement, "We will meet these announcements with a steady resolve and a vigorous defense." What a joke. The indictment announced Friday by the Jackson County prosecutor, Gene Bakers, had been under seal since October 6th because the bishop was out of the country. He returned Thursday night. If convicted, Finn would face a possible fine up to $1,000 and a jail sentence of up to 1 year. The diocese faces a possible fine of up to $5,000. Now, that is one thing that's in the paper. Now listen to this. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in our paper here in Denver, on the same day, 15th, a woman dies, 42, dies from beating. Michelle Stella was beaten by her boyfriend, Jason Melody, who committed suicide after the attack. And that's what gets me, how the devil has got these men so deceived. You know, when my cousin was killed back in 2006, her and her 3 kids, and the boyfriend tried to kill herself. But most of the time, they got him. Most of the time, they try to go out and kill themselves after they do this. That's the devil. That's not God. That's the devil. A Castle Rock woman was beaten by her boyfriend and left on the street outside of Gothenburg, Nebraska. She died. Michelle Stella, 42, died Monday from injuries inflicted September 17th by Jason Eugene Melody, 39, of Peyton, who killed himself after beating Stella. Gothenburg Police Chief R.I. Olson said Friday in a news conference. Olson said Stella and her 8-year-old son were in the Gothenburg area with Melody for a wedding of friends. Stella was a bridesmaid in the wedding. The three were on US 30, which parallels 80 in the area. Just before midnight and just east of Gothenburg, Melody stopped his 2008 Nissan Armada sports vehicle and pulled Stella out. Police said he beat her face and head with his fist. While being assaulted, Stella instructed her son to run away. The boy hid in a nearby ditch until he was able to flag down police. The boy led police to Stella, who was in the westbound lane of US 30 with severe head and facial injuries. After the assault, Melody got back in the SUV and intentionally drove it off the road, where it rolled over several times into a ditch. Melody was injured in the crash, but was able to walk to a residential area of Gothenburg, where he committed suicide. Definitely a nut. Definitely driven by the devil. Definitely like that demon that came out when Jesus was there and it was just filled with legions. Stella was released from Good Samaritan Hospital in Kearney on September 24th and returned to Colorado to rehabilitate with the help of her family. But on October 7th, she was hospitalized again to have emergency surgery after a brain aneurysm. She died Monday. Stella's family members had met Melody and saw no alarming signs in their relationship. I'm still in disbelief. I can't believe my sister was murdered. Yes, that's murder. A funeral for Stella will be held in her hometown of Beacon, New York. Riesel said Stella's son has been staying with his father in Castle Rock since the assault. Everything she ever did was for my nephew. Her life was for the little boy. I just hope that he's going to be okay. I just want everything to be okay for him. That's the article. 42-year-old woman died because of some man getting into a rage because the devil knows that this month is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. He also knows that every day is awareness. And all of this behavior needs to be exposed, needs to be revealed, and the demonic host needs to be confronted, and the demons be destroyed. And I'm not talking about the person. I'm not advocating this man should have been killed, but he should have been dealt with and not allowed to even commit suicide. They need to live and face the consequences of their behavior, because I believe when they go to jail, they will get their coming ups. But if you know of these situations going on in your community, wherever you are, then do something about it. Don't sit around idly knowing that you have a neighbor that's being abused. Now, this happened on the freeway. It shows you how the man's mind snapped. Okay? And if he hadn't have beat her, he probably would have faked the accident and tried to kill them all in the accident. I mean, that's just how the demon possessed this man happened to be, I believe. So if you know of something going on where you live, in your apartment complex, in your housing development, you're in a housing development and you talk to folks, you see somebody with a black eye that doesn't make any sense, or they're walking around with a broken arm, why do you have a broken arm? And it doesn't make any sense. They tell you a story that doesn't add up. Start doing your homework and go after these abusers. Stop the domestic violence. And then you perpetrators, and you that are doing it, if you need to do that, why don't you check yourself into a mental hospital and get in there and do some stuff there? Why don't you go out and get a car and get on the racetrack and do something? Why don't you go get on a horse and go ride a horse and get off that way? But stop beating on these women, and women stop beating on men. That is just incredible. Man beats a woman up, then goes and tries to kill himself by running the car off, and they can tell it was intentional. And then he gets back to the city and then kills himself. I mean, if that is not so this has to cease. It's out of control. We are in a situation of out of controlness right now with our what's going on around the country. It's just insane. Now, I want to share with you about the book. It's available, and you can get all of our books at Amazon.com if you choose. You can get them at BarnesandNoble.com, or you can go to our website and buy the book. It's there, and you can either get it in a EPUB form or paperback. And we have it set up so when you buy Teddy Bear Stolen Innocence, the 30th person that is buying it will get a free book. So you don't know if you're going to be that 30th person. But I would encourage you to go to the website for Teddy Bear Stolen Innocence. Very easy. It's incestinblackAmerica.com. So it's INCEST IN Black, BLACK, America.com. noonmst.com.